So one of the worst parts of the original Nintendo Switch by far has to be the Nintendo Switch eShop because my God in heaven, is this thing absolutely terrible. You know, I got my Switch on day one. And so in the initial stages of the system, it was serviceable, I would say. And there was always that hope that, hey, you know what? Things might get better. They might update this eShop as they go along. It might, become something decent. But no, that never happened. Honestly, as time has gone on with the Nintendo Switch eShop, I would say it's gotten progressively worse. And that's for a myriad of reasons. I've talked about this in full-length videos here on the channel, but it just seems like it all sort of boils down to the fact that the eShop never takes into account you as the consumer. You try to navigate it, it's slow, it's plodding, it takes forever to just load things, and it makes the exploration aspect of finding games on the Nintendo Switch eShop just a downright awful experience. A lot of games that I have purchased digitally on my Xbox Series X have been through just exploring and seeing different types of games. And when it's nice and snappy, you can do things like that. But when it's a slow and plodding experience filled with hentai soccer, hentai poker, poker hentai, hentai hentai, poker poker, hentai hentai collector's edition, like just the same crap being spewed out week after week with dozens and dozens of titles. The Switch eShop sucks ass. That's really the best way to say it. But we've been learning a lot about the Nintendo Switch 2 recently, and some of this stuff is definitely flying under the radar, either because Nintendo themselves haven't really shown a spotlight on it, or they did it in a very different sort of way to provide this information. And I'm kind of surprised that more people haven't talked about this. I get the reasoning why, like, this actually happened the day of the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but they did these Ask the Developer blogs, which were basically little interviews that would talk with the Nintendo Switch 2 developers to talk about improvements done to the system and how the system was going to work. Shockingly, there was quite a lot of information on the Nintendo Switch 2's eShop that I just feel like nobody is talking about, because if what they're saying and showing is true, like, this is going to be such a better experience. So I will have a link to this in the description box down below. You can check out the full sort of article here where they talk about, different stuff. There's Long Shirt Man. Remember, he had a big shirt on. That was a fashion decision, but you know what? I respect it. You don't have to dress like society tells you. I'm a nearly 40-year-old man, and I still dress like a child. They just go into basic stuff, talking about, why, like, Labo isn't going to work. There's going to be 10,000 games that do work, allegedly. How the Switch 2 is stronger. There's game share through free updates as well as leveraging stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm interested in the eShop stuff, though. So basically, they say a free account is required to use various Nintendo services, such as the eShop, as well as network services. Nintendo accounts are linked to consumers' important information, and we believe it's our mission to treat them with care. For our customers, it's also crucial that their accounts and data, which they have used until now, can be transferred without any loss. We are ensuring that the best way to transfer is a secure and stress-free thing. But here's where stuff gets cool. So if you use the virtual game card, you can also do things like lending your digital games to other family members. Apart from this, are there any other features returning from the Switch that benefit the Switch 2 system's capabilities? Mr. Dota says, thanks to the system's performance capabilities, Nintendo eShop on Switch 2 has been improved and runs smoothly even when displaying a large number of games. We believe that the act of finding the game you want to play is itself part of the game system experience, and I 100% agree with that. Also, there's a feature on the eShop called Game Finds for You, which lets you quickly see screenshots and watch introduction videos for games. And then they actually show this off, which I thought was really cool, because I haven't seen any of this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video haven't seen any of this either. So it starts out here I'm not Sarah. What the hell is wrong with you? But it says, hey there, Sarah, looking to find some games. We've got recommendations. Games will be recommended based on your preferences. Your finds will be refreshed every Saturday. Right then and there, that is a huge positive step for this thing because it would recommend and show you games that you don't care about, such as hentai soccer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to see that every single week. Now, in terms of the aesthetic, it does look pretty similar. Obviously, they're going with red instead of orange and stuff like that. Featured titles, product search, game finds for you, wish list, great deals, best selling software, recent releases coming soon, switch online and enter a code. So then they show kind of how this works. They go to find games, and then it shows you different games. So it shows you, what your friends are playing. It shows you a video of the game too, which I think is cool, to at least introduce you to the game, see kind of different games based on your preferences. And I think that's important because it makes for a more tailor-suited experience of the game. Now, I do hope it takes into account kind of like stuff that you have purchased before and, the genres of those games and possibly even the developers of those games. But this all looks like much smoother and a much smoother experience. And I think that is something that is going to be very important as the information goes along here. With this feature, I think players will be able to easily find something interesting without having to search every nook and cranny of Nintendo eShop. I think it was a big deal for us that with the improvement of the system's processing capability, we were able to take our goals one step further. First, we prioritized making the system appeal to as many players as possible. Then we shifted our focus to improving the player's experience. The team came together to create something with that goal in mind. And honestly, this is a huge step in the right direction. As long as it functions well, as long as I am able to find games and not have to sift through a bunch of nonsense and, slow everything operating very slowly and games taking forever to load up like it is on the original Nintendo Switch. And now you're adding in game recommendations based on my preferences. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. And honestly, I think that's a very good thing for a lot of smaller companies because obviously Nintendo games, they're going to be available on, the best-selling software. You're going to get tons of publicity with that. Your great deals, of course, are the games that are on sale. All of those games are going to get publicity. But you might remember there were several different developers of smaller companies that came out during the Nintendo Switch 1 and said, hey, man, people can't find our games. There's too much stuff coming out. There's not enough discoverability to where people can actually see that our game exists and see that our game is indeed a thing. And you can always say, there needs to be some quality control with some of these games. And I'm not necessarily against that. I think reskinning games and asset flip games are just absolutely disgusting and ruining a lot of, goodwill that gamers have towards certain, types of games and stuff like that. The trickery games where it's based on a very popular IP, but it's just a cheap asset flip that's being done in some third world country. Like, there needs to be some sort of basic quality control with this, but I'm very pleased with what I'm hearing here. I'm very pleased that it's going to be faster, more efficient, and most importantly, allow for some more discoverability. I hope that they actually improve this as time goes on and allow people to essentially find games that they're going to want to play. If I buy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, you should be showing me Streets of Rage. You should be showing me the upcoming Toxic Avenger game. You should be showing me G.I. Joe, Wrath of Cobra. Stuff like that is going to make this a much better experience for the user. So I just wanted to share that info with you guys because I feel like a lot of people this just flew completely under the radar with, and I think this is pretty exciting stuff. So let me know in the comments section down below. You know what? Tell me some of your eShop horror stories. Like, I don't even go on there anymore. That's how bad it is. I'm just like, you know what? If it's a multi-plat, I'll buy it on another platform. because I'm not going to waste my time like taking literal minutes just to load like a bunch of games that I'm probably not even interested in because it's hentai 7. Like, who is buying all of these hentai games? Seek help. I don't know. If it makes you happy, I guess that's cool, but like, I don't know, man. That shit's always going to be kind of a bit weird to me. But hey, weird doesn't necessarily mean bad. But yeah, stop buying the hentai games. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well so you're not missing any uploads. Hello to all the new subscribers. Channel's been popping off lately with all this Switch 2 Electric Boogaloo, and I'm glad you're here. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.